I was testing out my microphone, being like, hello, hello, test, test. Is it even on? It is on. Wait, is it blinking? Okay, sorry. I was testing out my microphone, and my dog was sitting on his bed, like, across from me, and he was looking at me very judgmentally. And now he came to the kitchen to be with me. So, yeah. Anyway, hello. I'm going to just reintroduce myself to my channel people. I hope my mic quality is okay. My hands are going to be busy because I'm going to be unloading dishes from my dishwasher as I make this video, because you gotta kill two birds with one stone and get two things out of the way. So I'm sorry if that's a little unprofessional or like a little careless about like my content, like, okay, I'm gonna film YouTube while I unload stuff from my dishwasher. It's not like that. I just need to be occupied or something. Not occupied, I need to do stuff. I have a really busy day planned ahead. I need to do my chores, as in unloading the dishwasher, taking the trash out, then I need to cook. And I think I mentioned this in my past videos, but I'm assuming you're a new viewer. If somebody watches this video, I hope somebody does, because my YouTube analytics have been terrible. I think maybe speaking about my YouTube analytics, and YouTube like previews the video, not previews, sifts through the video before you upload it. And I think when you complain about like analytics being bad and whatnot, they immediately push your videos to like the back of the algorithm because you're complaining. So maybe that's why. Maybe it's because I'm speaking about like taboo things on the platform and they're just like, shut up, we're gonna put you on the back of the algorithm. I have no idea. But my YouTube analytics have been terrible lately. They used to be, I never really got like crazy views, but oh, he's groaning. I think he doesn't like it when I talk. But it's like, I don't know why. He's a little bothered. Maybe he wants peace and quiet, but I'm gonna be in the kitchen doing a lot of stuff all day. So anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, I'm gonna reintroduce myself. My name is Yosh, Y-O-S-H. This is my channel. I didn't ask for a Yappuccino. I practically just upload and post whatever I want. He's groaning a lot. I pretty much just post whatever I want because that's just how my channel is oriented. It's just whatever. It really is. And lately I've been posting a lot about my dog to give you guys a bit of an update. My dog, I think my mic keeps bumping into my shirt. I hope that doesn't muffle the audio by any chance. Sorry for being unprofessional. I usually have it like on a stand and I hold it close to my mouth, but this is actually how it's supposed to be worn, I believe. So it should be fine, actually. Anyway, enough about that. My dog, as of yesterday, actually was diagnosed. Well, initially we had taken him to the vet because he was coughing and retching a lot, which was concerning us because it just happened out of the blue. We thought he had a kennel cough. Took him to the vet clinic, and it turns out they diagnosed him with dilated cardiomyopathy, which is a very detrimental disease, a heart disease that is like a death sentence. And we were very afraid, but you know, we sought a second opinion and received a new diagnosis called degenerative mitral regurgitation, which is essentially degenerative mitral valve disease. What that translates to is leaky valve disease. Essentially, the left ventricle of the heart, I don't know if it's right or left, but I think it's the left ventricle, is not pumping blood throughout the body correctly, and in the heart it's leaking out. So that's that. And he also has some sort of like viscous other diagnosis. I'll just put it up here because we recently got our lab diagnosis paper and it really gives us like a whole breakdown of his situation. We have some echocardiogram or ultrasound pictures. I'll also put them up here. Essentially, these past few videos, I'm just trying to push my dog's story out there because his disease is terminal, which means it'll be like, you know, it'll be the cause of his passing. But with medication, a cocktail of medication, we are able to extend his lifespan in a humane manner, obviously. Like, you guys see him, he's completely fine. He was literally playing a couple days ago, and he still has a lot of strength. He's still living. Like, I mentioned this in my last video, but if someone had like came to our house, I don't think they would have suspected anything wrong with our dog. They would just be like, oh, he's just, you know. Oh, that is red. I don't know if that's a good thing. Hopefully I don't talk too much in this video. Sorry for being unprofessional. I'm sorry. Anyways, he can still like live approximately 6 to 12 months, maybe even more. It really just depends on how his body is reacting to his disease, especially with the medication. So the medication is really just what's fueling him, and it is costly, and we're just trying to gather up as much money as we can so that if we can extend his lifespan to 6 to 12 months, we can do that with the medication. You know what I mean? Because the medication is really what's just keeping him alive right now. So I'm making these videos hoping I can push my story out there, and if somebody can see it and has some money to donate, no donation is small enough. If it's literally like, if you can only donate a cent, $1, that's a lot nowadays. And yeah, if you can donate, that'd be greatly appreciated. The link to our GoFundMe fundraiser is in my description down below. It's also in my about page on YouTube, so check that out. And yeah, if you can interact with that, share it with a friend, maybe if you know if they can like help us out with our situation. I'm going to upload the diagnosis papers as an update on the GoFundMe because it's more information that proves that this is what our dog is dealing with, you know what I mean? Anyway, I wanted to make this video because recently I re-downloaded Reddit. Apparently I still have an account, question mark. So I re-downloaded Reddit, and I was trying to post on the GoFundMe thread tab, but apparently you need some sort of karma amount, which is so stupid. I feel like Reddit karma is so annoying. Like, girl, just let me post. Why do I have to have a certain amount of points to be able to? That's so annoying in my opinion. But I've been trying to just like, I don't know, if I can, try to like grow my Reddit page, grow the karma points. Grow the karma points so that I'm able to eventually post on that thread. And one of my favorite YouTube channels to watch as of lately is the Smosh Pit Reddit podcast videos. I feel like a lot of content right now on YouTube is just not really interesting, but that Reddit podcast is really interesting to me, and it's kind of like where I first was introduced to Reddit. I've actually made some videos on my channel where I've like read some Reddit posts. I've been thinking of making a new one because Reddit is really interesting in my opinion. Like, there's so many places you can just see what people read about and whatnot. So anyways, I was scrolling on it and I remembered yesterday, because I'm practically like rewatching all the podcasts because I've already watched them like so long ago, but there's literally nothing else to watch, so I'm like, might as well rewatch. There's no way I remembered all the stories. And I rewatched and I was like, what's a subreddit I can scour just for funsies to see what people write about? And I remembered that there's this subreddit called True Off My Chest, which is essentially like a confession venting subreddit. And I thought it would kind of be like Gossip Girl vibes, like True Off My Chest, I accidentally fed my grandma strawberry jam when she was allergic to it. Like, that's kind of the stuff I was expecting, but people were really venting about like, oh, I have no friends, oh, I feel so lonely, I don't feel like my partner loves me. And I was truly not expecting it to go to that like dark route of like just sadness and stuff, and I was like, oh damn. And I read this Reddit post earlier today about this person just being like, I have no friends and I feel super lonely. And I read the post. They were talking about how, you know, none of their friends from school, high school, really stuck by. Okay, I had to answer a text from my sister really quickly. You can really hear the clatter of my utensils because my phone literally just like stopped the other video I was recording. But anyways, the post that I was talking about, they were saying like, it's so hard to make friends in college, and now that I'm in the work field, like my coworkers have already established like friend groups and whatnot, and it's really hard to kind of just put yourself out there. It's like everyone's kind of like already excluding you, and nobody is kind of like welcoming enough. I mean, if they are welcoming enough, it's not like it's kind of like a temporary welcome. Like they don't expect for you to like be a part of this friend group permanently. They're kind of just like welcoming you for the time being, trying to be friendly, but it's like either way you kind of like sense the dynamics of the friend group and probably will know that like, oh, I'm probably not going to really like, I'm kind of just like a side friend, a side acquaintance, if that makes sense. I read the post, I don't really remember what, but they were just like, I feel so unwanted, I feel like a side character, I feel like just kind of like someone who's like insignificant, doesn't really have a best friend. Everybody already has like pre-established friend groups or has that like really good best friend that they've known ever since childhood. And it's like all these friends that I've made, like we're really good for a little bit and then something causes us to like drift apart and whatnot. And they were like, oh, I have a boyfriend, but we're doing long distance. And it's like, yes, I have a boyfriend, but I need friends. I need a relationship, friendship, some sort of bond outside of that, obviously. Which I agree with. I feel like, yes, you can have a partner, but you should still have friends outside of a partner because a platonic friendship and a romantic friend relationship is like two different ballparks. Is that even a correct saying? I don't know. I don't know why I did quotation marks. Was that even a correct gesture? Like, probably not. I hope the clattering of the dishes isn't too loud. Anyways, what was I speaking about? And I just like read the post and I was like, whoa, I really do relate to this person. And before you say, yeah, sure you do, I'm being so serious, I do. I feel like right now, the only friend I really have, we're kind of friends, kind of not. We're not really speaking to each other on a day-to-day basis, which is not something I really have any reservations about because I personally kind of find it a little, not a little like, oh, it's so annoying when friends text you every day. Not really, but I feel like I'm kind of a really distanced person when it comes to friendships. When someone tries to text me every moment of their life on a day-to-day basis as like a friend, it's like, I don't know, like I kind of just, I don't know, like I that just doesn't really work for me. You can text me all you want, but like, I don't know, just don't really expect a response or like a really thorough response. I'll probably just be like, yeah, cool, nice, things like that. Like I don't really like to get into like full-fledged conversations on a day-to-day basis. Like every now and then it's fine, and not even like every now and then, maybe like once a week, once every 2 weeks, like we can really sit down with each other and talk. But I feel like texting, it's not really my thing. I would much rather FaceTime. I'd much rather actually see you in person and break bread with you and stuff rather than as texting, because I'm not really an enthusiastic texter. I kind of dry, which, you know, it is a problem, but I don't know. Texting is just not really my thing. It's not a lot of effort to text someone. It really isn't, but I had a friendship where we would mainly text with each other, not really call, not really do voice memos and stuff, not really FaceTime because they had an Android, so we would need to like FaceTime through like, I don't know, House Party. House Party is so nostalgic. I remember using House Party when I was in middle school and stuff, because I also had an Android. But then I eventually got an iPhone and had like FaceTime. I don't know why I'm so out of breath. I need to catch my breath. Anyways, what was I speaking about? We would just kind of like text mainly through text, right? And I'm not friends with this person anymore. They ended the friendship actually, which was kind of a sigh of relief. And I'll get more into it. I don't want to make this video too long because I personally love long videos on YouTube, but I know lots of people kind of gravitate towards towards shorter videos, and I kind of want to appeal to the algorithm, to the audience like that. Hopefully I can, but hopefully I can say everything I can, and hopefully what I'm saying right now is interesting enough. I feel like low-key sometimes I watch videos on YouTube and it's like, no offense, but you're kind of just yammering about a bunch of nonsense, and it's like, I don't really feel like I'm taking anything away from this video. I don't even feel like I'm entertained. And these videos get like so many views, and it's like, I don't get how this gets so many views when you're just talking about some nonsense, kind of. Like, you're not even really interesting. Like, I know that might be a little bit shallow, but honestly, maybe that's me to you right now. Maybe it is. Anyways, so when it comes to texts, the text with that friend, they would always tell me like, oh, you're such a dry texter. I feel like there's so much undertone in your voice. I'm the type of person who tends to overthink a lot of texts. And it's like, yes, I've met you in person. I know how you speak to me. But when you speak through text, it's kind of like you're a different person, like a bit of a frat boy, I guess you could say, like, oh yeah, chill. They were like, okay, you kind of give me that energy. You're a little bland. I'm not really getting much out of you. And it's like, I'm not really getting that validation from that text. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'll try harder, but I don't think I did. And that is, I take accountability for that, for not trying that much harder. But anyways, that's a different friendship. We're no longer friends with that person, which is honestly for the better. I'll try to get more into it. But with this friend that I'm currently friends with, we kind of just, like, yes, we don't speak to each other on a day-to-day basis. And you're probably like, well, why is that such a problem with you when you just said that it's kind of, you would rather prefer to be a little distanced, a little bit private. I feel like usually when this friend hits me up or whatever, it's kind of stuff about them. They don't really ask me like, oh, hey, how are you doing? Things like that. Which, I don't know. I know some people are like, oh, I don't like that small talk because it's like, I'm not going to tell you actually how I'm doing. I'm probably just going to say, yeah, I'm fine, whatever. But I don't know, like, I would open up about like, oh, this is how I've been doing. This is what I've been dealing with, especially now with like my whole situation with my dog. But recently they, like, I'll give you some examples of like texts why I'm kind of like a little bit like, I don't know, like, I feel like I've kind of outgrown you maybe, or like, maybe we're just not, maybe I'm just growing up and it's like, or maybe I'm just getting to know more about myself and it's like, I don't feel like this friendship is really working for me anymore. I don't know. But isn't that outgrowing them? I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm kind of talking in circles. Anyway, so they recently texted me not too long ago, like, hey, what's your Instagram? And this was when my dog was, you know, already going through his new diagnosis, and I was just thrusted onto a lot of stress with that. And I was like, here's my Instagram. I have like 0 followers, honestly. And even all those people, if I were to remove all those acquaintances I have, they're not even my real friends. They were just people that like, oh, we knew each other in school and we asked for each other's Instagram, or we saw each other on our like, you know how Instagram recommends people and then you're like, oh, well, this is someone I know in class, let me just follow you back. Like, I don't know if we're really friends, if I'm being real. We're not actually, we're mutuals. Am I even speaking coherently? Anyways, so they asked for my Instagram, I gave it to them. You know, we're just those kinds of friends. We don't really like, oh, hey, Instagram, how have you been doing? Like, okay, here's my Instagram. They add me because they're like, they were having issues with like their parent letting them be on social media and stuff. They add me on Instagram, and on my Instagram bio, I had already written that like, if you can navigate to this link to donate to my dog's GoFundMe, like here you go. Before you add me as a friend, it literally says that, and they didn't hit me up about that. Like, hey, what's going on with your dog? Maybe they read the information on the GoFundMe. I have no idea. But either way, I feel like, wouldn't you have asked me like, hey, how's it going? Is your dog doing okay? But they didn't tell me about that, and I was like, okay, why not? I thought we were like better friends than that. And then when they're really into K-pop, when recently Heesung from, am I even saying his name right? Heesung from Enhypen left, and it was very devastating for a lot of people because, you know, people love him and stuff. I've listened to Enhypen a little bit, like EXO, Bite Me. I'm not really like a hardcore K-pop stan where it's like I know all the members' names, but now I know his face, now I know his name. And she's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he left. And this was a little after she had asked for my Instagram and stuff, and it's like, I don't know, like, so you're more concerned with this K-pop star leaving rather than, I don't know, texting me about like, hey, are you okay? How are you doing? Like, they haven't even texted me that in a while, and they haven't texted about my dog, so it's like, are we friends, or are we just people who share the same interests on a few things, and you can talk to me about it, but you rarely ask me about like how I'm doing, what my interests are, what am I dealing with, how's my college situation going? Like, you aren't asking about that, and it's kind of like, it just feels like they're the type of friend who I'm like the listener friend to them and what they have to say and like what they're interested in. And it's not a bad thing. I do like listening to people talk in friendships, but I don't know. Like, this is not just really working for me right now. I kind of do want someone to speak with, have a shoulder to lean on. And that's why I'm on YouTube, you know? And that's why I talk to myself. Like, I'm literally like, what's it called? Maladaptive daydreaming, where I'm just like literally out. Like, it's been like this for like 6 years. It's been like this ever since quarantine, to be honest. That's kind of like when I lost all my friends, if I'm being real. Anyways, let's talk about this friend that was like, oh, you're giving me some undertone in your text messages and stuff. Let's talk about them because they were a friend of mine for a while, but we broke things up. We stopped being friends. We broke things up. That's so dramatic. We stopped being friends, and it's like there was some fault on me, but I think, be honest, we're better off this way. I don't think we were really meshing with each other. So we met each other in high school, and then we kind of weren't really in contact with each other. I remember them telling me in high school that like, oh, when I graduate, I probably won't really stay in touch with you because I'm not that type of friend who's like really texting people and whatnot. And I was like, okay, well, if I text you every now and then, like, just answer. Like, it's no big deal. And she's like, yeah, sure. And suddenly we like reconnected after like, I don't know, a year of not speaking. And they're just like, whoa, like, I didn't expect for you to reach out to me. And I'm like, yeah, like, how are you doing? How's your situation? Like, you graduated? And they're like, yeah, I'm attending this college and whatnot. This is how I'm doing. And we didn't live that far away from each other. So she's like, oh, if you ever like, oh, you're going to the same college as me. If we ever see each other, bump into each other, like, give me a holler. Like, let's text each other. Let's say hello. And I was like, sure. Because, I looked back at our friendships when we had talked, when we sat with each other at lunch, and I'm like, yeah, this person was a really good friend with me. And I feel like they're better in person than they are in text and phone stuff, because they were it was a little bit of a chore to speak through them through texting and stuff, even though that's kind of how they were like working. I feel like multitasking is actually not good because I'm not really saying everything I wanted to say. I hope I'm speaking correctly, but just to summarize that friendship, we would speak often at times. Sometimes we would have like breaks, like intervals between like conversing with each other. Sometimes those intervals were a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months. Never a couple of years, but just a couple of months max. And they were just like, it happened for like a couple of months. I reached back out to them. I was like, hey, how are you doing? And they're like, oh, are we still friends? Because it's like we haven't spoken to each other in a couple of months. And they were very good at communicating. I'll hand that to them. They were good at communicating and letting me know, like, this is kind of how I feel validated in a friendship. If we're not speaking with each other for a couple of months, sorry, but I don't really consider you a friend of mine. I kind of want to be, really in touch with someone to consider them as my friend and whatnot. Anyway, I'm finished with unloading the dishes. I need to sit down because I truly cannot multitask. I need to wipe my glasses because I can feel the grease just piling up. I thought this video would be a lot more like, okay, I would do the dishes, unload the dishes, put them back. Then I'd start cooking and start cutting my vegetables while I'm talking to you guys. But girl, I can't multitask. I should have known because I've made makeup videos on my channel where I do makeup and I speak and I'm like, girl, why am I not uttering coherent thoughts? And I'm out of breath again. Like, anyway, to summarize our friendship, we would, she was very good at communicating, being very validating. I mean, not being very validating. She was like trying to express to me like how she feels validated in a friendship and whatnot. And she would just be like, if you're not texting me for a while, I don't really consider you a friend, which is totally valid. And I was like, okay, this is how you talk. I mean, not talk. This is how you feel like you're in a friendship with me. And obviously I want to be your friend. So I need to hold up those standards. They would also say like when I text you, like, give me something to work with rather than like, okay, nice, cool, ha ha ha, which you guys know is how I text because I'm a little bit of a distanced friend, a little bit more private, and I don't prefer texting. I'd rather call you, I'd rather send a voice memo, FaceTime, because I feel like I talk better than I text. I feel like that's the case. Like, I do talk better than I text, which makes no sense because I do writing as a hobby, and I feel like I write better than I talk, which doesn't make sense because texting is writing. But I think like on a phone, like it's a little bit more tedious to like text long paragraphs to someone, which was kind of how we talk together. It's not like short messages. It's like, oh, well, if you want me to elaborate on something you've told me, it'll take me like a good like 20 minutes to draft up a paragraph. And I'm like, I have other things to do. I have other things to tend to, which is why I'm kind of giving you shorter responses. And they're just like, that's not really going to work for me. And honestly, in a friendship, like you do need to make time for each other, and you do need to put in that mutual effort into like communicating with them. And they're just like, once a week, if you can give me something to work with, if we can have a full-fledged conversation with each other, like that's how I would feel validated. And I was like, okay, got you. And she's like, try to like spruce in your messages a lot. Try to have some personality in them, because again, I'm a direct texter. She's like, use some emojis, use some slang, use some like just something to like, so that I know that I'm speaking to you, and it's kind of like the same dynamics as if we were speaking to each other in person. So they were kind of giving me these standards, and the reason the friendship fell apart was because she was kind of, in my opinion, she was a bit of a contrarian friend. Throughout our entire friendship, I feel like I was always the one in the wrong. And it's like, oh, something is always my fault. I'm always doing something wrong, Like, for example, she told me like about MBTI, and she's like, have you ever taken this test? And I'm like, yes. I'm pretty sure like in school curriculum it's kind of required, like, oh, take the MBTI test. It'll tell you your strengths and weaknesses, how you learn best, what careers are best for your personality type. I don't know if I really agree with the test. I am an INFJ, INFT, whatever that is. Introverted is what I stands for. E is for extroverted. And I don't know if I agree with it. To me, it's a little bit more like, it's kind of like under the same category as like zodiac signs. I'm a Leo, which I know they say a lot of terrible stuff about my zodiac sign. And if I'm being honest, I do agree with what they say at times. And I really think to myself, like, oh, I think my T was clocked, But I don't know. Is it a pseudoscience? I have no idea. But I know that there's a lot of research that went into like the Myers-Briggs test, and I'm not trying to diminish or dismiss people who are like, no, this is truly like, I do feel like this is my personality type. But personally, I'm like, okay, I think it's a little bit of a general thing. But she was also an INFJ, and my sister is also an INFJ, and it's like we're all three separate people. You know what I mean? And again, she's an INFJ, has a different communication style with like how she feels fulfilled in friendships, and I have a more distanced, private, like we don't need to text each other every day for me to feel like, oh, we're still friends with each other type of vibe. So it's like, obviously we have different personalities, even though we're under this kind of umbrella academy of INFJ. And I was just like, oh, I don't really like believe it, blah blah blah. And it's like, I'm not trying to say like, oh, well duh, every person is different, even if you have the same like personality type or the same zodiac sign. Like, you can still be distinctly two distinctly different people. Like, I'm not trying to say like, oh, you're bound to be the same. Not at all. But I don't know. Like, she was just trying to say like, oh, I do really believe this. And she's like, oh, you're an INFJ. Like, she was shocked because she was like, isn't that a rare personality type? Blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, I just don't really believe it. Blah blah blah. And then she went into this whole like paragraph essay long like explanation as to why like I'm wrong for thinking it's wrong, essentially. She's like, oh, well, don't you know there was so much research that went into this? And she's like, yes, it's a generalization of your personality, and it's not supposed to get every single thing, but it's like, I don't know, you can't just utterly dismiss it. And I'm like, yeah, I totally get it, but I still, just because like there's evidence and whatnot doesn't mean that I have to resonate with it and be like, this is correct. I don't resonate with it, which is why I don't think it's correct. And I'm allowed to feel that way. Like, that's my opinion. I'm not trying to say it's a fact. but she was just like, you know, contrarian, like, oh no, blah blah blah, this is not correct, your way of thinking is flawed. And it's like, maybe it is, truly, but it's like every single conversation we would have with each other where it's like she wanted me to put in that effort for her to feel validated, she would always disagree with me. We would never have agree about any sort of thing. In terms of like entertainment she consumed, she liked watching like South Park, Big Mouth. Like she would watch a bunch of shows and she'd be like, you should watch this, Yash, blah blah blah. And she would like, oh, I watched South Park, Big Mouth, like, oh, this is super funny. And I told her, like, my opinion, I feel like if you watch South Park or Big Mouth, I'm kind of gonna want to stay away from you because I do feel like those shows are very controversial and they do say a lot of offensive stuff. And it's like, if you find that entertaining, I don't know, like, that's a little weird. I feel like that is like, if you're entertained by like dark humor, which is my hot take, if you're entertained by dark humor, if you make jokes out of serious stuff, I feel like that's super out of touch and just very desensitizing. Like there's a sort of like ethics to it, and I try to be the most ethical person I can be. I'm not trying to say I'm like a saint or whatever. I'm definitely flawed. I have my imperfections and whatnot. I'm not like this ideal person and I'm like, oh, super righteous and whatever. But you know, I'm learning so much about myself and about like what I think is right and what I stand for. And it's like, personally, me, I'm consuming that content is not what I find entertaining. And I do severely question critically to those people who are entertained by that stuff why you find it funny. And if like I don't know, I'm not trying to say there's something wrong with you, but I just personally don't think I could get along with someone who watches that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, I don't know, like these shows are a little offensive and I think it's crazy if you like watch it. And she was just like, but that's the whole point, like it's supposed to be offensive, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, yeah, I totally get it, but to me it's still like I explained my side, I kind of said what I said just now, and she was just like, well, that's the whole point, like it's supposed to be offensive. But it's like, again, why do you think offensive stuff is funny or entertaining? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. She was into musical theater and I was just like, I'm not really into it. We just had different interests, which I'm not trying to say is like, you can still be friends with someone who has different interests. But I feel like for her, that was a big red flag. Like, you need to have the same interests as me or else I'm not going to feel understood. I'm not going to feel like we're friends with each other. But I feel like the most important thing in a friendship is having, like, you need to be compatible, but being compatible doesn't necessarily mean you have to have the same interests with each other. Like, compatible as in like how you communicate with each other, how you feel fulfilled and in this relationship and bond or whatever. But you can have different interests and be like, yo, tell me about your interests, I want to know about it. You can be interested in it, I can be disinterested in it, but that doesn't mean that I'm disinterested in you. I'm interested in you and I want to be friends with you, even if we do have separate interests. If you want to talk about your interests to me, I may not be interested in it, but I still want to tune into that conversation because I'm interested in you and I want to be friends with you. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be okay, we don't have the same interests, we can't be friends with each other. Like, it does interfere with a lot of lifestyle things. Like, for example, if you're into musical theater, like I was friends with a bunch of kids in my acting class in high school because I had to take it for a performing arts credit, and they were a part of the musical theater program in my school. And throughout like the school year, when we would be partnered up for projects, they were more inclined to hang out with the other kids who are a part of musical theater because it's like, well, duh, you guys are a part of this program together, spending a lot of time with each other. You're going to be more inclined to hang out with them rather than me because you guys have the same interests, you're part of the same stuff. You know, like, that obviously makes sense. So like that can interfere and you can be like less connected with this person because it's like, well, I have other friends who are interested in the same thing as me. Why should I be in a relationship with you when it's like we don't have the same interests, we're not a part of the same stuff, we're not close to each other? Like, proximity is important in a friendship, and proximity happens when you're involved in the same stuff. So yeah, obviously I'm going to be disconnected from that. So it's like, I get where she's coming from. She was more into musical theater. We had like separate artists we listened to. I was like recommending songs to her and she was like, oh, I don't really listen to music like that and stuff. And I was like, okay, which to me was kind of like, oh, like what? Like you don't listen to music and stuff? Like I was just recommending a song. Like you don't want to at least give it a little listen and stuff. So it's like now that I look back at it, it's like when I would try to like put my interests on the table, I felt like I was also dismissed and not really like, it's like she kind of sought that validation and kind of like engagement from me, but when it was my turn to want engagement and any sort of like, you know, some sort of sustenance from a relationship, she would kind of not really give me that as well. So again, we just weren't compatible in that aspect. But where I take a lot of accountability in that friendship is that I didn't I was a bit dismissive with their communication style, how they felt fulfilled in that relationship. I could have done more to like sustain it, but again, we would get into a lot of disagreements about the conversations we had, and to me they seemed like a contrarian. Anything that I would say or do kind of was just like incorrect and whatnot, and they would go into this whole lecture about how I was wrong. And it's not a bad thing to be like lectured, like maybe I am flawed and maybe what I was saying was incorrect, but it was just super incessant to the point where it was like, I don't think we could just have a normal conversation with each other where we don't bump heads and we can just have a vibe where we're just, you know, in a flow state where we're just like two people who are engaged in, I don't know, I can't really put it into words, but why can't we just be friends, and why can't we just have fun talking with each other? And when they eventually broke the friendship off and gave me this whole like explanation as to why they felt like diminished in the friendship, that I was very dismissive and very just like careless and stuff like that, which again I do take accountability because they were bringing up good points. What did I want to get at? I don't know where I was going with that, but anyways, I just said like, okay, I totally understand where you're coming from. They were also talking about like advice about relationships and stuff, and I wasn't really like, I'm super inexperienced about that stuff, so I was like, I can't really give you good advice. And there were times where they're just like, I didn't seek the reassurance I needed from you, or I remember they were talking about like some sort of mental stuff they were dealing with, and halfway through the conversation I was just like, she's like, oh, you suddenly started psychoanalyzing me, which I was, but it was just something I brought up casually. Which, you know, is my fault. Just because you bring stuff up casually doesn't mean that it doesn't have that impact to a person. And I just feel like they weren't in the correct headspace to really be like, not that they were sensitive or something, and not that I am not like sympathetic towards people like that, but we just bumped heads a lot, you know? And times where I felt like oh, I didn't mean it, like my intentions in trying to just say whatever I wanted to say in this friendship, I just felt comfortable enough to say what I wanted to say. I didn't mean it to hurt you, like that's not my intentions and stuff. But even if you like say that, it doesn't matter, because things still hurt and things still carry the weight of whatever you said, even if it was casually or met with not bad intentions. Like friendships are just complicated, you know? And people react to things differently. I think our main flaw in our friendship was that we would just text each other. If she had called me instead, if we had done voice memos, FaceTiming, where it's like you can actually see the person, their body language, understand their demeanor, it's completely different. And I say this all to say that there's so much intertwined in sustaining a relationship and a friendship with someone that is very complex. And I feel like nowadays people are less inclined to put in that effort because it can fall through, or they just don't have time. There's a lot of different communication styles that are uprising nowadays, and I definitely have a very unique one. So I can't seek friendships and be like, I want friends, I feel lonely, and then not put in that effort that this person I want to be friends with needs for us to sustain a friendship. So it's really complicated, and it's hard to find someone you mesh with, because you really do have to put yourself out there, and putting yourself out there means you're susceptible to rejection. And rejection is humiliation. I remember when I was in high school, there was this acquaintance classmate in my history class, and we shared a bunch of classes together. And it's like, I don't know about you, but obviously you're tuning into attendance on a day-to-day basis. You see me, you have eyes. Wouldn't you like have noticed me at this point? Like I know some people are like, no, I wouldn't have. Like I'm not locked into classes like that, but it's like even if I don't know you, if I hear your name on attendance on a day-to-day basis, I see you around, I look for you, like maybe the teacher calls on you a lot, like I know who you are. So it's like I remember I approached this classmate and I was like, hey, and I tried to make it seem like we didn't have the same classes together, which I don't know, it just kind of naturally came out of me. Even if I were to make friends with someone nowadays, I feel like I would kind of just be like, hey, you're blah blah blah, right? Oh, I think we have this class together, right? But secretly I know we have this class together, but I'm not going to say it because I'm trying to be as I'm trying to be on the same level as you. I don't know, maybe that's my flaw. I need to be more direct, like, hey, I've noticed you in class, you're this and that, right? Hello, I'm this. I need to like really sort out my kind of approach because I'm doing things incorrectly. I'm shy, like I really am just a shy person, and it's like everything is kind of cringy to me, but it's like to be cringe is to be free, so who cares? Anyways, so I remember I approached this classmate and I was like, hey, you're this and that, I think we have this class together, my name is blah blah blah. And they were just like, okay. And I was like, okay, this day marks the day where I am never going to approach someone ever again like that, which is not correct. I need to be, I hate rejection, I hate confrontation, but that is the only way to make it in this world, I fear. Anyways, and also like, am I sweating? I hope you guys can't see it, but I am sweating. I think I'm so riled up about this conversation, I don't know why. I feel like so long I've been waiting, like when I stepped into high school, which I had a couple of friends, a couple of people I was like in touch with. This friend that I am sort of kind of friends with right now, we did meet in high school. But I feel like friends do just come and go, and a lot of my friends came and went in high school, and there was no one that really stuck around, and I felt really lonely in all of my classes. It was a huge dilemma before, and I was just like, I remember I teared up in my chemistry class sophomore year because everybody was so familiar with each other in that class except me, and I felt so excluded. I remember I just stood up and I was like to my chemistry teacher, and I was wearing a mask. First of all, I was the hugest mask fisher in the world. Imagine like this is all you see, and then like obviously I'd run away. You look like a troll that came from under a bridge. But anyways, I remember I approached my chemistry teacher and my eyes were like watery, my voice was shaking. I was like, can I step out for class in a little bit? And she was just like, yeah, sure, step out. Yeah. Dude, you know what was another big betrayal? I remember when I was graduating for high school, I saw my Booch. My dog is sneezing. Did you guys hear that? Anyways, I saw my geometry teacher, and I freaking loved my geometry teacher sophomore year. He was such a vibe, but the class was so disrespectful to him. Like, he was like, truly, I was like, oh my gosh, teachers like this, like, they just restore your faith in humanity. They really do. Like, you can see the enthusiasm in what you teach, and you teach it so engagingly, and you're so fun. Like, it makes it fun. I love being there. And I thought he noticed me, dude. He didn't. I wanted to approach him and be like, hello, Mr. Blah, blah, blah. Like, thank you so much. Like, geometry class was such a joy with you. And I wanted to approach him, tell me why he didn't look like he recognized me. Oh my gosh. And I remember for pre-calculus class, he was next door. So I was sitting in the front. And I thought he was having a conversation with me. Like, he was like, hey, hello. I thought he was looking at me. Which, honestly, I had my old glasses. Maybe it was a vision problem. But I feel like he was talking to the person behind me. And I was answering. He was like, hey, how are you? I was like, oh my gosh, hey. But I think he was talking to the person. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, embarrassing. And another thing, I had another teacher junior year. What's up, Booch? What's wrong? I had another teacher junior year, which, like, she knew me. There's no way you don't know me, dude. And I also wanted to approach her and be like, hey, graduation, blah, blah, blah. Like, is there anything you want to say? Dismissed. This is why I understand that Reddit post, because it's like, I really am a side character. Like, if there's a show, I am the side character. I'm an extra that was just hired for, I don't have my own studio. I'm just an extra. Like, that truly is just how I kind of feel, period. But anyways, I say this all to say that if you do feel lonely and unfulfilled, I've been feeling this way for a solid 6 years, and I've had friends. I do have friends. Like now, I really could just like reignite something, and I've definitely tried. But I've just noticed that, like, okay, well, we don't see each other on a day-to-day basis. It's going to take a lot of communication and effort out of the both of us to sustain this relationship. Texting, whatever, it's not really going to work. You know what I mean? We need to see each other. People just don't put in that effort nowadays, which is which could be fake too, because my sister had a lot of trouble making friends in school and stuff, but she has an online friend that she's just so tight with. And yeah, they just reached a flow state, and I'm so happy for her for that. So it really could work. It really could work. I don't know what the how. I'll get back to you if something happens and I find a technique and method that works. But to anybody that's feeling lonely, there are times where I also feel lonely, but I feel like I've found a lot of amusement in just kind of being with myself. And the way I kind of get my thoughts out, get my whatever out, is I usually kind of just talk to myself. Like, as I mentioned, I kind of just like I go through scenarios in my head. I have this like ideal version of myself in my head with like my ideal career and stuff, like no stressors, like anything that's stressing me out right now, like it's alleviated. And it's like I feel like this like it's who my ideal self wants to be. And I have like these cool kind of have imaginary friends, I won't lie. And it's like me interacting with them, and I kind of have found amusement out of that. I don't know if that's good advice, but you know, daydream if you have to. That's what I do, and it's I feel fine. I do. Of course, it's different when you're truly interacting with a person. Maybe what I'm doing is unhealthy. I don't know, but find fulfillment in just yourself, being yourself. I feel like I've kind of learned to be my own best friend. And another good way to like get my thoughts out, I'm a lot more eloquent in my head, which is why I kind of like tend to daydream a lot more about like literally whatever. It's not always about like me being my ideal self. It's I could like be thinking about a Reddit post and like trying to navigate myself through a situation, or I'm like daydreaming about making YouTube videos and how I would go about a YouTube video. And in my head, I'm a lot more eloquent. I say this in all of my videos. I'm a lot more eloquent in my head, and then when I turn on the camera, it's like, okay, we're not really reaching that flow state, and I sound terrible. But who cares? I love making YouTube videos, and I really just love sitting down, like right now, the way I'm doing right now, and just speaking to you. So if you need to make a little video diary where you just get everything out, if you need to journal, like, oh, I have no friends, blah, 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 it's totally fine to do that. Use that as an outlet. And I think you will learn that you are worthy of better, and that, you know, I feel like throughout all of this I've learned to love myself, and I've learned to just be like I feel like this is an arc that I need to go through. Like I needed to be lonely for 6 years and whatnot and not have friends, so that I could learn to love myself and learn that I'm worthy of better, and that, you know, once I step into a situation where I'm like ready to make more friends, ready to maybe have a relationship romantically, because I am a romance writer. Like, of course I want that. Like, when I step into the world, when I get into work, when I go to university, because I'm eventually going to transfer out of this college, you know, maybe this is the journey I needed to go through to, you know, hopefully my mic is still working, because the thing that's connected to this to make it work is red. Imagine if it cut off and I'm speaking, if you can't hear me. That would be terrible. That's happened before, actually. Anyway, maybe this is necessary, or maybe I'm behind because I'm not making friends. I have no idea. But my advice to you is to find outlets in which you can be amused by yourself. For example, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I consume a lot of media. Like recently I just finished an anime called Love Through a Prism, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And I feel content in entertaining myself that way. It's like, wow, these friends and these people, these characters, like you become like attached to them, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this dynamic, like it's so cute and whatnot, blah blah blah. Like, does that make sense? Reading, I've been reading a lot too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I vibe with this story, like it's super nice. Webtoons, like I love webtoons. I love reading a good webtoon, even though I feel like webtoon right now is kind of, but there are some good stories. And to give you some recommendations right now, I'm reading Cinderella Boy. That is so good. I also started like I kind of waited till a bunch of episodes were out, reading Operation True Love. And if I'm being honest, it's kind of a little messy right now, and I'm not really vibing with the plot, but I'm entertained by it. And I love reading the webtoon comments with people being like, oh my gosh, why did this happen, blah blah blah, and it's like, you get it, girl. And then I'm also reading Love for a Walk. That is so good. What else am I reading? That's kind of it right now. I'm kind of marinating some other stories. Oh my gosh, and then I remember I read this story and I was like, this story is so good. And then there was a breach of consent, and I'm like, goodbye. I hate when that happens. Oh my gosh, I don't know why that's so normalized in like romance stories right now. If there's a breach of consent, get the frick out of here. Anyway, just like absorb media. What makes you happy? I love reading webtoons. I love reading books. I love watching Smosh Reddit videos. I love watching YouTube videos. My favorite YouTubers right now are Deb Smikle, Naomi John, Netflix Party. I love her reaction videos on YouTube. She's like the YouTuber that I've like found recently where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I grew up watching YouTube. I mentioned this in my last video, and it's like I truly feel like these people are my friends. You know what I mean? Like, parasocial relationships are not good at all, because you can get very like crazy, and it can get very unhealthy. But I feel like I've reached this kind of like balance where it's like I feel like you are my friend, but I'm not like eye twitching, like you're my friend, you're my friend, you're my friend. Like, I don't have anything. Like, if you're to that point, it's like, okay, well, you need to calm down a little bit. But hopefully that makes sense. I think it's time to wrap this video up. I want to say more, I do, but I need to do some things. I need to do a lot of other things, and editing is not my strong suit, so I hope that I'll be able to sort this out, and I hope this video can come up later. But again, I'm not trying to make this video and seem out of touch to the various problems that are occurring in our political and economic state of the world right now. I have a document of petitions in my description down below of a lot of outlets where we can, you know, have our voices be heard about so many issues. What I thought of last night when I was in the bathroom, I was having this shower thought, was like, we need to kind of petition against the government the way everyone petitioned against the government in the Lorax. The way they were to O'Hare, they were like, let it grow.
Let it shrivel up and come on, who's with me, huh?
Nobody.
You greeted that bad!
We kind of need to do that. And I'm not trying to like make light of how terrible things are with being like, haha, we need to do things like the Lorax, but I feel like the Lorax is it's such a good movie, honestly. Like, it's a little cringe at times, but the message of the story about like how we need to be a community and kind of stand up against injustice, like that is really like intensified in the movie. And I know people are trying to do things, and it's easier said than done because people can't just stop working and stuff, but maybe we can figure something out to uprise against the shit going on in this world. So I'm not trying to make this video and be like, I have no friends, blah blah blah, I'm lonely, this, that, which I'm not. I don't know why I said that. I'm not lonely. I just don't have friends. Do I want friends? Yes. Blah blah blah. Like, I'm not trying to make this video and be like, okay, you don't have friends, but people don't have food right now, and people are struggling to pay their bills. Like, you not having friends is the least of people's worries. Two things can be true at once. I'm not trying to be like, I have no friends, blah blah blah. And after all, like, okay, does that make sense? Anyways, let's wrap this video up. Hope that makes sense. And if again, I'm trying to make these videos to, you know, make videos because they're fun, and also because I'm trying to promote my dog's GoFundMe. So if you want to read about his condition, how you can help fund the money we need for his medication to extend his lifespan, please consider looking at the GoFundMe description. I'm going to update it with the new information we got from the report. Hopefully somebody watches this video. I really hope somebody does, because it really is disheartening to put in, like, say all this stuff, edit it, and then publish it, and then get like no interaction back. I feel like the YouTube algorithm has just been really terrible lately. Even like OG good YouTubers are kind of not really getting the best analytics either, which is because of a whole bunch of other things, which I'm not trying to say like, oh, it's a huge problem right now. It's not, because there's so many other things going on, but I hope somebody sees this, and I hope somebody watches it, and I hope somebody found it entertaining. Maybe I'm lying. Maybe like I'm also like how I mentioned earlier in this video, like kind of like a, like, who cares about my thoughts and what I have to say when there's other people who are more certified and licensed to talk about it and whatnot. Maybe I'm that way too, and you're like, okay, I'm so disinterested in this video. But I am interested. I don't know, I feel like what I said was kind of entertaining. Maybe not. I don't know, like, my kind of intention for this channel is to make a platform where I'm kind of like your FaceTime bestie. Like, we're on FaceTime right now. This is a little video diary where we're just chatting with each other. So if I'm not some sort of expert, you know what I mean? And I don't know the best way to make myself engaging and whatnot, but I hope this was fine. And yeah, stay tuned for my next video, I guess. Subscribe if you want to. If anybody watches, I'm probably talking to myself here. But yeah, I want to make some future videos. I recently read through a bit of my diary when I was like really younger, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had some tea to spill. So maybe I'll read more of that on video. I did want to make that as like a video before. I don't want to promise anything, because I remember before I promised a lot and then I didn't fulfill that. I do want to make more Reddit videos where I read through some stuff, because I love absorbing that content, so maybe I can put it out myself. Anyway, hope you guys liked this video. Hope you guys are doing well. Please view any links in the description. See you later. Bye.